Very often, or sometimes, when we close our eyes, we enter the dream lobby, which is the lobby that appears outside of dreams when we close our eyes. It is a place where dreamers and dream guides sometimes meet. Your eyes may be closed at this moment, and you may be within a dream lobby. Sometimes, it is a dark and lonely place, until a feeling appears within your dream lobby. And that feeling is similar to the feeling you sometimes get right as you fall asleep and begin to dream another dream with your dream guide friend. When you meet me at the beginning of a dream in the dream lobby, you see me and say, "You look like you have a question." I smile and say, "I do have a question for you." And then I ask, if I should fail to appear in a dream, would you notice my absence? You say, "Of course I would notice, if you were not around the vicinity of my dream." I smile and thank you for being so nice. And then you smile back at me because you are so nice. And then you say to me, "I hope you would notice if I failed to appear within my own dream." I say, "You have no idea how many of your dreams happen while you are not here." I say, "I notice your absence from dreams all of the time." And then you ask, how many dreams have happened without me? I smile and say, "It is best if you do not know." But before you begin to frown, I stop you and say, "Do not worry, the dreams are still out there in the world. They make a point to be obvious and known to me." You smile and then ask, "Can we visit the most recent dream that happened without me?" I smile and then say, "Now you are asleep and ready for another dream without the company of your dream guide friend." This is the falling star dream. You begin, and it is near the end of the day. You know night will be arriving soon, because the sun raises the white flag of surrender for the day to the highest point in the sky. This is how everyone knows the night is coming. The sun raises the flag of surrender, and then climbs down the ladder of the sky to sleep somewhere in the dirt beyond the horizon. Somewhere you cannot see. Do not try to imagine the dirt place beyond the horizon, because no one tries to imagine where the sun goes at night, because everyone respects the privacy of the sun and where it sleeps at night. In a way, the sun is a falling star, but not the star of this falling star dream. One time, the sun, as they climbed down the ladder of the sky, missed a rung of the ladder and tumbled down to the ground. The world fell into a commotion and a long darkness, because the sun was too injured, and some say, too scared, for many days after their fall, to climb up the ladder again. But that dream is a different kind of falling star dream than this falling star dream. From your kitchen window, you see the white flag of surrender. In dreams, white flags signal that it is now a safe place, a safe time. You get into the spirit of safety and make the windows of your house safe places too. It is a simple process. You spread honey on your windows, and the windows become a safe place. You prefer to use honey from a jar. Once you used honey from a hive, but the bees inside were full of dark intentions, and your hands and face turned purple with blisters. When you spread honey on the windows, you do two things. You feed the ants who live in your kitchen and in the walls of the other rooms of your house. And, also, because honey and ants are on your windows, it helps the neighborhood birds see your windows and keeps the birds from flying into the glass. Because when birds see the ants gathering the honey spread upon the window, the birds do not fly into the glass. Otherwise, birds would try to enter your house with very injured bodies. Birds understand houses and would often like to live inside of them. For all of the same reasons, you like to live inside of houses. Birds look for open entrances to houses all of the time. Many birds perish themselves every year by mistaking a window for an open entrance. Honey on a window helps protect them from their own good intentions. In dreams, birds appear inside of houses all of the time. All this means is that the bird was approved for a mortgage. In real life, birds appearing inside of your house can mean dire things. It all depends upon the color of the bird. Bright-colored birds should not be feared, so long as you provide them fruit and cheese. Dark, or earth-colored birds inside of your house means you should consider visiting your family physician soon. At the kitchen window, you watch the ants work together to gather the honey and carry droplets of the substance from the window back to their communities within the walls or under the floors of your house. You wonder what the ants think of you. You wonder if the ants carry inside their minds a concept of what you are, or if you are, to the ants, the equivalent of a walkable, moving mountain. Does an ant need to crawl over the whole of your body to understand your shape? You wonder how high ants can count to in their minds. If ants have their own number systems, and if the numbers in those systems are much smaller numbers than human numbers. You leave the kitchen and enter your picture room. It is a room with framed photographs and paintings hiding the walls. On the floor, there are stacks of books with pictures on each page of the books. The picture room is your memory room, as well as an entertainment room. It is a place you visit, in dreams, to remember your past. Because in most, and many of the pictures, in the picture room, are pictures of you. Pictures that are not of you, are pictures of places and objects you would like to have in your future. You wander through the picture room. It is vast, like your mind. This is because your picture room is a place in your mind. A place you can visit while you are awake. Perhaps you already visit your picture room often while you are traveling long distances by car or plane, or traveling long distances through time while waiting your turn for a haircut or foot appointment. It is true that the picture room is misnamed. While, in your youth, the picture room was the size of a room, because, when you were younger, the amount of your memories was small. And because, you had only yet begun to dream about your future. Your memory pictures did not require a lot of space. But now, as you are older, your picture room has grown halls and side chambers to house all of the pictures in your mind. In a hallway, you see a picture of yourself when you were younger. You stand on a beach, in the ocean. Your legs in the water, up to your knees. Your pants rolled up, and in the water. They soak water up your pant legs. But you do not remember being bothered by this. You hold a mask over your face. It is not really a mask. It is a square chunk of coral, from the Great Coral Reef. But since the chunk of coral, from the Great Coral Reef, covers your face, you think of it as a mask. The picture is from a day in which you pretended to be a coral in the ocean. On that day, and in that time of your life, you thought you could help keep the ocean waters clean for all of the fish that live within the ocean. One coral that could help everybody. Hanging next to this picture is another picture of yourself from when you were younger than you are now, but older than you were in the previous picture. In this image, another mask covers your face. This time the mask is not a chunk of coral. It is a plastic bag. The kind you might receive after making a purchase at a grocery store. The bag has many holes in its surface. So many, you can see part of your eye and part of your lip. You recognize this day. It was a day when you felt it was pointless to be a coral in the ocean. It felt pointless to be one coral and clean the ocean. And often, as many people do, when they feel pointless, they feel like a piece of trash. And so, you felt like a piece of trash that day. So you held up bag over your face like it was trash, like you were trash. Because you felt that there is no way one coral could ever clean all of the ocean. That there was no way one coral could help even one person. You felt like you might as well be a piece of trash and join the other trash polluting the ocean. Because with all of the other trash in the ocean, you would not feel alone. You have not visited the ocean since. You stand in one of the picture hallways of your picture room. And remember how sad you were that day. On the wall facing the two pictures is another picture of you, in which you hold a guitar mask over your face. A guitar mask that is an actual guitar. This is a mask you wore when you were not wearing the other masks. The sponge mask, or the plastic bag mask, beside the ocean. This was a time in your life when you were sad every day. You walked around wearing a guitar mask. And when you were not walking around, you played the guitar. You were so sad, because your parents named you after a lake they liked to visit before you were born. But the name of the lake is long and ancient, and it is a name no one can ever properly pronounce. Sometimes, not even your parents can properly pronounce your name. You spent your days, at this time, wearing a guitar mask, and taking off your mask, to play the guitar, while you put your sadness into words. Words, that connected sequentially, into phrases, about your sadness. Phrases, that turned into folk songs, so everyone could know how sad you were about your name, even though everyone agreed with your parents that the name of the lake is a beautiful name for a child, because the lake is very beautiful, and even though they could not properly pronounce the name of the lake. But you did not agree, and wrote an entire 2-disc album of sad folk songs about your name, and how clever people like to think they are. Because when people find out your name is shared with a lake, they think it is okay to ask to swim inside of you, or to try to place their boats on top of you, or throw nets on you to see what kinds of fish they can catch. What was the most awful about people throwing nets on you is that often you felt fish they wanted to catch swimming inside of you, under your skin, and inside of your organs. Often in dreams, when you feel like fish swim around inside of you, it is because you have an unrealized potential living inside of you. Sometimes, potential needs the right moment in life to become realized. If you find that it feels like many fish, a school of fish, is inside of you, it means you should change up your routines. Maybe visit a different state, or say hello to a person you do not know and have never said hello to. By changing up your routines, you allow your unrealized potentials an opportunity to find their place in your life. You wander through your picture room, and sub-rooms, and hallways, to your room of desires. In the room, there are rough clay sculptures, on shelves. Sculptures, you made with your rough hands. Out of blobs of clay, into the shapes of your desires. These may remind you of clay sculptures from your childhood, when you saw wild shapes waiting within the clay. Wild shapes and desires your adult self has since abandoned. After you remember, the child you were as a child is still somewhere within you. And that child still remembers how to find wild shapes within the clay. When you look at the blobs of clay, you see many things, like a yellow chicken sleeping, or a shadow on grass, or the token of theft and burial. In this room, there are hundreds of shelves, all full of objects you desire. You hope to one day replace the rough clay models with the actual objects. By creating the object in your mind, you invite the world to provide you an opportunity to meet the object, and bring it into your room, and put it on one of the shelves. In some cases, you have done this. where there was once a rough sculpture of a hippopotamus wearing a top hat. There is an actual top hat, and under the hat is a tiny hippopotamus that sometimes likes to sit in your pocket while you walk around the city. But the hippopotamus will not walk with you tonight, because tonight you wear a white robe, and it is a white robe without pockets. You think about making a rough sculpture of a pocket, so that the world will help you meet pockets to add to your robe. But you see an empty space on one of your shelves, and you think to yourself that the shelf should not be empty, because you remember a shape in that space, but cannot place the shape into your memory. You grab a blob of clay and squeeze it with your rough hands, but all you can make with the clay is a ball. You do not think a ball should be on the shelf. You have never desired a ball as an object. You think perhaps you are experiencing shaper's block, or rememberer's block. You squeeze into yourself under your white robe. This is a tactic you try when you want to desire to appear in your mind. You fall into a shape and try to stir a memory from your body, but this does not work. You decide to visit the memory shop. You hope the shop is still open this late, though you do not know the time. You tap on the top of the top hat as you leave your room of desires. You say, "Goodbye, hippopotamus. Maybe I will find pockets on my journey outside of the house." You hear the hippopotamus say, "Goodbye, and good luck," in their own tiny way. Outside in the world, you walk to the memory store. Above you is the night sky. The white flag of surrender, the sun left in the sky, cannot be seen. It is too dark in the sky to see the flag. You are sure it still hangs there, somewhere between the stars. Though not really between the stars. Just from your perspective of the stars and the sky. You think about perspective for a moment, and then realize you have stopped walking to look at the stars. Sometimes, even in dreams, it is hard to do two things, such as thinking and walking, at the same time. You quit thinking about perspective, and begin walking again. However, somewhere in your mind, you quietly think. It becomes obvious to you in a moment, because you fall into a shape. Down on the ground, you fall, and become a shape. A flag shape. A waving in the wind shape. You tell your mind, and all of the secret quiet parts within your mind, to listen to you now. You say, "This is a walking time, not a shape-making time." You say, "I need feet to walk, so I may travel to the memory store." But you remain, as a flag shape. You surrender to the shape, and spread out on the sidewalk. You try to stretch your flag body out, so you may feel all four of your corners. You cannot see yourself. You have no idea what symbols and colors mark your body. You hope you have ornate designs, with seashells and whales embroidered on your flag body. You hope this, because you think it would be a great flag for any nation to have. Even if the nation is landlocked, and without access to seashells and whales. Sometimes, or very often, in dreams, when you see flags, or become a flag, it means that your life outside of the dream is haunted by politics and nationalist identity issues. Allow yourself time in dreams to become a flag. Flow where the wind takes you. It is an exercise in helplessness. It is also okay if the flag you become touches the ground. You are not legally required to bury or burn yourself as a flag if you choose not to, within dreams. Your flag body flies through the night and lands at the doorstep of the memory shop. You enter the shop. The shopkeeper says, "Hello." And you flutter at the shopkeeper in a way that says, "Hello." The shopkeeper asks you, "What kind of memory are you shopping for this evening?" You want to tell the shopkeeper that you have a memory you would like to shape, but you cannot remember its shape. It is a memory of your past. The clerk asks if you see anything on the shelves that reminds you of the memory shape. You see many strange faces at first. And remember, faces are some of the first things the mind tries to find in the shapes of everything. Because faces help people find other people. Because people need people and their faces in order to survive as people. You look at the objects on the shelves and try to see the shapes of the objects beyond the faces, but have trouble with this task. You see a loud sort of energy. You see a child, compact with the potential to be an adult. And how, if the world was made exclusively for toddlers, they might get along fine, without any adults around, so long as the doorknobs and cabinets were of a height for them to reach. If someone in the world of toddler-sized people had the mental capacity to design doors and cabinets the right height, you continue to look at the objects on the shelves of the memory shop, but all you can think of is little houses and little rooms that toddler-sized people would live in. How anyone living inside would be safe from you, because you would be too old and big to bend down and crawl around through their houses. You would get stuck in the doorway, and the child-sized people would climb upon you or strike you with little brooms until you crawled out of the house to run back to the woods and under the branches of trees where all of the other adults live when it rains. Because you think of a world where adults grow taller and taller as they age. And with each inch grown, the adults lose intelligence and the ability to build their own houses, and so must steal from the children. The smartest of the children have theorized the behavior of the adults is caused by the size of the adult bodies, because it is harder for blood to circulate to the brains of adults. You tell the memory shopkeeper you are having some difficulty when you look for your memory in the objects on the shelves, that none of them fit the space you are looking to fill. And then you tell the shopkeeper about what you saw, and the story of the children and their houses, and the adults in their woods. You say, it is strange, but it could not be a memory, because there is no way that this could have already happened to you. And the shopkeeper smiles, and says, maybe not in this life, but you have other lives, with their own memories. And then the shopkeeper, while dusting off objects on the shelves, says, "Not every life you have lived has been lived on this planet." Confused by the shopkeeper, and the memory in your mind, and your lack of finding the shape you wanted to remember at the memory store, you leave, and float out into the night. You are no longer a flag, but a person. The night sky is above you. Sometimes or very often, as people, we look upward, and at the night sky, until our necks hurt. And often, while we look upward, and at the night sky, our minds cannot help but wonder. And wonder, such thoughts as, why does the darkness exist? Why are stars so far away from us? And then we wonder, are any of the stars that are so far away from us also wondering if we exist near a star that is far away from them? And then, of course, we ask, how many steps would it take to walk to another star from our own star? If a solid, walkable path between stars existed for us to walk upon, and how long it would take to walk such a path. And then, if it took 1,000,000 years to walk to a star, if a solid and walkable path between stars existed for us to walk upon, how it would feel to spend 1,000,000 years walking. Often, it is impossible to hold an image of that amount of time inside our minds, because many of us have trouble taking the time to count to over 1,032 within our heads, even while we are awake and not distracted by yard sales and yard signs advertising yard sales. And before you consider spending 1,000,000 years walking into the night sky to a star in the night sky begins to walk towards you. And then, it looks as if a star falls to you from the depths of the night and to the ground beyond the horizon, to a secret place of dirt. You worry the star that fell may have hurt itself, because usually, when the sun or moon leave the sky to rest on the ground, they take a ladder, or sometimes a slide. But this star fell, and fell fast. And you assume it fell hard as well. You let your worry for the star take over, and your worry carries you to the horizon, and the wall that stands there, painted with a silhouette of mountains and trees. You climb over the wall of the horizon to find an undeveloped place of darkness. Your worry guides you over the darkness to a place where a low glow rests on the ground. In the location of the glow, you find the fallen star. It has a soft, blue glow, and you are sure the star has been injured by the fall. The star is the size of an ice cube, the kind of ice cube that has mostly melted at the bottom of an empty glass. The kind of ice cube you would put into your mouth and suck on, so it becomes small enough to fit in the spot where you are missing a tooth. And for a moment, before the ice cube melts to nothing, and the ice cube fits in the spot where you are missing a tooth, you call yourself Ice Tooth. You think it is a cool nickname. You pick up the star, and while it looks cool and soft, the star is still hot and burns your hands. In fact, the star was so hot, it made you forget that you just thought about calling yourself Ice Tooth. In fact, the star tries to consume your fingers with what feels like millions of tiny mouths. In fact, the star did consume part of your fingernails and seems to glow a little brighter. This gives you an idea. And the idea is to feed the star, so that might become strong enough to climb back into its place in the night sky. You wander around the undeveloped darkness beyond the horizon. You look for food, for items, and nouns to feed the star. But the undeveloped darkness beyond the horizon is so undeveloped, you find nothing. You are unsure if the ground you stand on is made of dirt, because when you touch the ground, you feel something solid, but cannot determine what makes up the surface that you touch. You return to the low glow of the star and think of ideas. Ideas to help the star find a way out of the undeveloped darkness beyond the horizon and into the world that you know. Often, ideas are found inside of your head. So you shake your head violently, and you hope for an idea to fall out. An idea that will help you carry the star over the wall of the horizon. From your nose, which is a part of your head, an idea slips out to the ground. It is an idea for weaving pieces of plastic grocery bags into large and soft orbs that you can then place under the windows of tall buildings to help soften the fall of anyone that might fall out of a window of a tall building. Because you have saved many plastic grocery bags from your many trips to the grocery store. Even though you know you could simply recycle the grocery bags. You want to reuse the grocery bags in a way that might save lives. And your idea, weaving pieces of plastic grocery bags into large and soft orbs, slips out of your nose and falls to the ground. And the star crawls over to it and then consumes the idea in a way that only a star could consume an idea. And the star grows a little brighter and larger. While you have lost one idea, you get another. You think that you could lead the star over the wall of the horizon by leading the star with a trail of ideas from your head. So you walk backward a step toward the wall. Then shake your head until another idea falls out. And another idea falls out from behind your hair this time. It is an idea about what kind of outfit you would like to wear if you could live on Mars. If living on Mars was the kind of thing you could reasonably do in your lifetime. You know it is a silly idea because of the reality of politics on Earth that you will never set foot on Mars. So you do not mind feeding that idea to the star. You think it is better to be free of such space-brained ideas. After that idea, you let go of another idea, like one about combining different kinds of liquid foods into a waffle iron to make flavor-filled waffles. Because you do not even know how to make foods into liquids. And you do not even own a waffle iron. You continue to shake ideas out of your head to feed the star. Until the star becomes as large as a small car If the small car were the size of a watermelon the size of a small horse. If the small horse were the size of a small sand castle. A small sand castle you could make in 10 minutes. If you had 10 minutes in your day to go to the beach and make a small sand castle. The star still glows, low and blue, but it has followed you to the wall of the horizon. You climb over the wall and call to the star on the other side. You call out and say, "Dear star, I have more ideas to feed you. Climb over." But the star does not climb over the wall. The star burrows through the wall, creating a hole that will be visible to the authorities, who maintain the illusion of a horizon. Authorities who work in the Department of the Exterior, in the federal government, and you suddenly worry you might receive a felony. But then, you shake that idea out of your head to feed to the star. And you no longer worry about receiving a felony for being an accomplice to putting a hole in an illusion of the horizon. While the star continues to devour the ideas you shake out of your head, the star also devours the grass and the trees of the world as it follows you. The star grows larger and brighter and blue. You wonder how much the star must need to eat before it can rise back up into the sky. But then you stop wondering this idea after you shake it out of your head to feed to the star. You decide you need to take the star back into town, where it might find more things to eat, or find someone who might know more about the care and keeping of stars. On the way back to town, you meet a muscular man who exercises by curling weights with his arms. You tell him about the star and how you need to feed the star so it can grow large enough to return to the night sky. The muscular man misunderstands you and thinks that you have asked him to be food for the star, and says, "I appreciate that you have asked me to join your star and let it burn me up like a consumable fuel source, a great consumable fuel source. Because I am strong and muscular, I know I would help your friend. In my past, for the longest time, I did not want to be seen. I went outside, into public, around people, but wanted to be invisible. I did everything to not eat, and to make myself smaller. But I did not make myself smaller, I made myself weaker. Weak to the whims of the world, the wind, the weather, the currents of people, as they walked near and through the world. I was in pain, but not the healthy kind of pain. It was only after learning how to exercise and work out, and learning to enjoy that working out and enjoying the feel of pain, that I found myself more connected to the world, more connected to my body. I do not want to die anymore. Before, I wanted to die. I did not want to exist. I know that now. I do not know what happens after life. But I know that in this life, it is a special thing to be alive. It is hard to be okay with that, a lot of times. I do not know what it all means. I know now that I can feel myself and my body through pain. It makes me happy. I want to stay in my body I want to be seen. Not because I am beautiful, but because I want to be a part of this world, whatever my purpose may end up being. I hope that I will find out what my purpose is. But for now, I am happy to be here. To be here is a special thing, so I will not join your star. The muscular man walks away from you, while curling weights in his arms. Then the muscular man drops his curling weights and stops to lift a car over his head. The muscular man yells to you, "Look at how happy I am to be a part of this world." The muscular man places the car on top of a bus and then lifts the bus and the car over his head. You continue walking toward the town, dropping ideas out of your head, while the star follows you, consuming the road and the shrubs that sit along the edges of the road. Safety shrubs that help keep wayward cars from driving off the edges of the road. Safety shrubs that gently bounce wayward cars back to the road. You get an idea about growing safety shrubs around your bed. But before you can think further about why you would want safety shrubs to grow around your bed, you shake the idea out of your head and to the ground. You find yourself dizzy because you have shook your head for so long, and because you are out of ideas. You know you need to help the star grow bigger, but you cannot do it alone. You remember the story place, the part of town where everyone gathers at lunch to hear lunch stories, and at night to hear night stories. Often in dreams, there are many places where stories can be heard. But the specific story place is a place where you can hear stories that your subconscious tells yourself. Often, in our blood and in our brains, there are tiny organisms living and working there. And before you worry, do not. The tiny organisms that tell stories in your blood are not like parasites. They are just tiny organisms that need a place to live and pay rent to you by telling you stories while you sleep. You arrive at the story place, and the place was crowded. You climb a tree to find a good listening place. You hang on the backside of the tree trunk, because the branches are already filled with children. You cannot see the storyteller. You climb higher into the tree to look for a good branch that is free of children. You forget about the star on the ground below, because you concentrate so much on finding a branch to hear the story. A branch that will let you see the storyteller, as well as better hear the storyteller. You want to see the storyteller, because sometimes or very often, the storyteller tells a story from a picture book, and you want to see the pictures. But just as often, the story does not come from a picture book. But still, a book of pictures is present to accompany the story. This is just to give the story a little bit more to think about when you think about the pictures in relation to the story. However, tonight you do not hear any words from the storyteller. You ask the foot of a child that hangs from a branch higher than you, "Where are the words to the story?" And the child looks down to where you asked their foot a question and says, "This is a smell story. The storyteller is cooking up something good, and when we eat it, and smell it, we will know the story. You ask the child, where is the line, for the food the storyteller is cooking? The child just smiles at you, because the child knows where the line, for the food will start. But does not want to tell you, because the child wants to eat up all of the food, before you have an opportunity to taste any of it. The star begins to climb the tree, behind you. You then realize, the star has begun to eat the tree. You try to climb upward, and find a higher place, away from the star. You do not want to fall into it, and become food. The children, in the tree and in the branches around you, see the star. They begin to climb, over each other, to find branches that will lead them, further away from the low, blue, glowing that wants to eat them. You begin climbing, over children, to find branches that will lead you, further away from the low, blue, glowing that wants to eat you. You climb, to the end of a branch, and it breaks. You fall to the ground. You fall very near, the storyteller and their cooking, which looks like a cauldron of stew. But it is not a cauldron of stew. Because, the stew, is in fact a story. And from what you can smell of the story, it is a very good story. On the ground around you, because you fell from the tree, the rest of your ideas, and thoughts, and memories, are spread out around you, like confetti. You have an impulse to scoop the confetti up, and eat it, so your ideas, and thoughts, and memories, are inside of you again. But at this moment, you see the star eat the tree, and the children, who were trapped in branches. And then the children, who fell out of branches to the ground below. And then, you see the star eat the storyteller, and the cauldron full of story. If you had any ideas in your head, you would realize, maybe it was not such a good idea to help the star find its way back into the sky. Because for right now, the star wants to eat every part of the ground on Earth, and make every part of the ground, on Earth, the sky. Because without ground, the Earth will just become sky, and floating water. You run away from the story place. You run away from the low, blue, glowing, which is now a bright blue glowing, which now looks like the sky of a clear afternoon, which now looks like a sun is in the sky, which now looks like a bright blue sun, a bright blue sun that still follows you, though you do not have any idea why, because your brain is out of ideas, and thoughts, and memories. You run away from the brightness in the sky. You have a feeling that the brightness in the sky is dangerous to you. You run to a town, and it seems familiar. You pass the memory shop, and the memory shopkeeper waves hello to you. You wave back, though you have no idea why, or any memory of the shopkeeper. If you had any ideas left in your head, you would think to stop, and warn the shopkeeper that a star is on the way. You would say, that a star is following you, and that the shopkeeper should pack up the most valuable memories in the shop, so the star does not eat them too. But you do not think this idea, because you had already fed the idea to the star. You run, and pass the hobby store, and the water store, and the mayor store. You run, and pass many neighborhoods and zoos. If you had any ideas, you would have the idea to run away from these places, because the star would soon come to eat them all. If you had any ideas, you would run toward the ocean and hope the large amount of water in the ocean would cool off the star and make it smaller and more manageable. In your pocket is a set of keys, and on this set of keys is a picture of a house, which looks like not much more than a mid-century ranch home, with many honey-covered windows. If you could remember anything, you would remember the picture of a house is in fact a picture of your house. Because at one point in your life, you thought to yourself, I might forget everything one day, and will want to find my house and my picture room. So, you attached a picture of your house on your keys, so you could match the keys to your house. But you do not do that now. Instead, it feels to you that the picture of the house lets you know the keys open up houses. So you try to open every house on a street, then another street, and then another. By this time the star is very near you. The star is so large and bright yellow that you cannot hide from it, as it stands taller than the houses and trees it consumes after it follows you. You decide to stop running from the star and turn around to face it. The brightness of the star blinds you, and all you can see is white. And for a moment you remember a time when you were very young, when you wanted to be a star and travel around the universe to visit other stars and worlds and people. So you held a lamp over your face and wore it as a mask, and walked around the house for as far as the electrical cord for the lamp would let you walk around. You walked to the couch and said, "Hello couch, let me shine some light on you." And then, you walked to the fish tank and said, "Hello fish, let me brighten your day." And you did this until you could no longer see where you were walking, because the lamplight was too bright in your eyes. And you tripped, and fell over the electrical cord, and broke the lamp and the bulb. And you remember all of this as you stand blinded before the star. And you remember that you once had a shelf in a room in your house, and the shelf was empty. And on that shelf, you wanted to put a lamp light on it, like the lamp bulb you broke from your memory. And then the star consumes you, and you are now awake. This has been the Falling Star Dream, with your dream guide, friend. Dream guides are written and recorded by Chad Redden.